Welcome to Fitness Friday. This is Jerry Fetta, owner, founder, and CEO of Wealth Dynamics, where we help you create a life of abundance and prosperity in all dynamics. And one of those dynamics is health, right? So we're going to talk about that today. So I want to give you guys a quick funny story. I was going and picking up some food for a meal prepping company that I'm ordering from recently, and we were picking it up at a CrossFit gym. Right now, I've done like this much CrossFit ever in my life. And so we have a CrossFit gym that we're picking it up from. And if you don't know what CrossFit is like circuit training. You get a bunch of compound exercises like squats and pull-ups and deadlifts and burpees. And you build a program, a circuit with no breaks, and you go back to back to back all the way through these exercises as fast as you can, as many times as you can. And then you name that workout after a person's name, right? That's kind of my description of CrossFit, right? So we go into the CrossFit gym. Across the parking lot from the CrossFit gym, there's a bodybuilding gym, okay? So I'm a bodybuilder, not really a CrossFitter, okay? And so, I asked the owner, I was like, hey, do you own both gyms? And he's like, you mean the bodybuilding gym? And I was like, yeah. He's like, we don't associate with those gorillas over there, right? And so I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, hey, it's kind of funny because as a bodybuilder, I'm inclined to make fun of the CrossFitters, right? So for example, when they do pull-ups, when I do a pull-up, I go slow and controlled. I pause at the top, I go down slowly. And the reason why is I'm trying to maximize the amount of tension I'm putting on the muscle so that I can maximize my growth, maximize my strength, and prevent injury. When CrossFitters do pull-ups, they do something called kipping, okay? They literally swing on the bar to create momentum, and they go like this, and their bodies look like a little fish. They're flopping around as they use the momentum from their entire body to do the pull-up. Okay, the reason I make fun of that is that's not a pull-up, right? Like no matter who you ask, that's not a pull-up, right? It looks like you're holding onto the bar having a seizure, right? Like that's not a pull-up. So a pull-up is what I do, and so a CrossFitter would do that completely different. Not saying one's right or wrong, but the pull-ups that I do are definitely right. Okay, so I thought it was funny. So this guy was saying we don't associate with these gorillas. And so my friend was asking, like, what is CrossFit? Why do you do the bodybuilding style instead of CrossFit? So here's the thing. In my opinion, unless you're very, very advanced and in the fitness realm of like cardio, proper form, stretching, trigger points, deep tissue, I don't think you should do CrossFit. You're pushing the body to physical cardio exhaustion, right? When you do CrossFit, if you've ever done it, you're panting, you're sweating. Okay, the more tired you get, the worse your form gets. Okay, the worse your form gets, the lighter weight you need to use to get the same reps done, right? Or you're gonna cheat. When you cheat, you're using muscles that weren't intended to be used to get the exercise done. When you use muscles or ligaments or joints or bones to get an exercise done that weren't intended, you increase the chance of injury, right? So think about it. If I do a pull-up, right? This is literally the cadence of my pull-up. I come up, pause, and then I go 1, 2, 3, all the way down, full stretch, right? My lat is what's working, right? So I'm going slow and controlled. And so by doing that, my chance of injury is very low. I'm engaging the muscle that is the primary moving muscle on a pull-up, right? And so I'm actually getting the result that I want, which is a strong back. If I'm doing the kipping where I'm, pulling and swaying, I'm using my rotator cuffs, I'm using my forearms, my wrists, my joints, my elbows, I'm using my back, I'm using my biceps, I'm using my abs, I'm swinging my legs, right? The more tired I get, the worse off my form is gonna get, the higher chance I have for injury with that. Okay, so what I would recommend is if you're doing weight training, do what you wanna do at the end of the day, right? But if you're doing weight training and you're brand new to it, start with bodybuilding. Right? Like you're not gonna, just because you did an exercise with weights with slow and controlled form, doesn't mean you're gonna turn into, Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jay Cutler or Phil Heath or one of these giant bodybuilder guys, right? Like eating 6,000 calories a day and taking steroids while you do that would turn you into one of those people. So if you're not doing that, you don't need to worry about it. Okay, doing a bodybuilding exercise is gonna give you proper form, and it's actually gonna grow the muscle you're working. Right? If I do a curl, bicep curl, and I keep it isolated and slow and controlled and actually work the bicep, I'm gonna get a better result than if I'm swaying and being a total bro in the gym, trying to rock the bicep up with the curl and, look like I'm lifting this really heavy weight, right? So take your time, like do correct form. And really, if you think about it, a good way to tell if you have correct form, super easy way to tell, is the muscle that you're using will be tired and it's gonna get what's called a pump. Okay, pump is when you do an exercise, whether it's legs or arms or back, you're gonna feel blood flow to that muscle and it's gonna feel swelled up. That's called a pump, right? So if you're not getting a pump, generally you're not working the right muscle. If I'm doing curls and I don't have a pump in my arms, it means that I'm not properly isolating my bicep. That's an easy way, is I make sure I've got that swelling happening and I make sure I feel the fatigue in that muscle. Right, if I'm training, let's say I'm doing a front raise, which should target my front deltoid, and I'm feeling it in my trap back here on my neck, that means I don't have good form. I'm not lifting here, instead I'm shrugging, right? So what should I do? I should slow down and I should control the weight and I should make sure I'm using the muscle that's intended, right? And then there's a lot to be said for movement patterns as well. So some things are unorthodox. Like for example, when I'm teaching a client or a friend or whoever to do squats, right? I'm probably gonna start with just like a band where they're holding the band in front and learning how to sit that low, because that's new. And then we might evolve to like a dowel on their back or a broomstick where it's literally like 5 pounds and that's it. Then we might evolve to, like some weighted ones with a dumbbell where they're sitting and holding the dumbbell. Then we might actually get into barbell squats and do the real thing, because we're not used to that kind of movement. So you have to train your body for the movement pattern before you add weight to it. Okay, so all of that to say, guys, people don't lift weights for the most part because they feel awkward when they go in. They don't know what to do, and that's just part of it. Okay, spend that first 2-3 weeks feeling awkward, getting the form down, right? And learn it so that way you can actually progress. It's just like with finances. You had to spend time learning about the sacred account before you really got it and could use it. You had to spend time learning your trade before you really could make a lot of income with it. It's not any different with this. So I hope that gives you some insight, a little bit of humor on the bodybuilding CrossFit thing. Happy lifting.